Hello again, everyone. This is Bob Martin, the RCSubGuy with the Nautilus Drydocks. I want to share with you yet another German Type 7 submarine, but this guy is just a baby. What we have before us is a 1/72nd scale German Type 7, as rendered out by Revell of Germany. And this is their plastic model kit. Now, this, along with a number of other kits put out by Revell, Trumpeter, and Mobius, are suitable for RC conversion. And this was, a few years ago, a very popular candidate. It is of suitable length to put a cylinder in. It is what I would consider to be on the borderline of being able to use a commercial cylinder inside. We're going to get to that in a moment. I want to show you how everything works. But before I do, a little bit of background on the boat. As I mentioned, this was put out by Revell of Germany in 1/72nd scale. This particular boat was originally built by Kerry Addington up in Carmel, Indiana, and he did a superb job of assembling, painting, and weathering the boat. It is very much a museum quality display model, aside from the fact that it is also fully functional. When we got it, it had been gutted, and Kerry had a new or different cylinder that he was planning on putting in it. We had to go through it, refurbish it, repair it, and then obviously integrate it into the boat. We ended up reworking all of the linkages and the entire drivetrain for a little bit better performance, but mainly for increased reliability. Let's take a look at how we get into the boat and what makes it go. So access to the submarine is actually incredibly easy. If we just pull up on the front here and the lift, the entire deck comes off. It's held on magnetically. So the magnets hold the deck on. So no need for fasteners, and there's no visible means of ruining that cosmetic finish with bolts or screws and that kind of thing. If we take a look on the inside, you can see nestled deep within is a 2-inch watertight cylinder. So the cylinder, along with all of the conversion pieces that you see here, all of this green resin details, were manufactured by David Merriman III and originally offered through a company called Caswell, who later sold the business actually to me. These pieces, the cylinders, the conversion pieces, these are all no longer in production. So before you get your short set of knots saying, yes, I want that, these are no longer available. Now, you may be able to find some used or potentially from another manufacturer, but these particular bits, pieces, and components are no longer being manufactured and are no longer being offered. Before we kind of extract that cylinder and show you in more detail, let's fire this thing up and show all of the functions of the boat in operation with the top off so you can see how they all work. First thing we're going to do, we'll take our radio, and this is a 6-channel low frequency VEX radio. Power that on, and up at the front of the cylinder there is a simple waterproof switch. I'm just going to push that down. We heard the startup sequence for the electronic speed controller. Everything is fired up. Functions of the boat. Right stick, horizontal, is our rudders, and you can see that rudder assembly in operation there. And it's a slick system. You can see it's got a geared rudder system, a geared linkage system in there that actuates the rudders. On the back, channel 6, this is the override for the stern plane. So if I push down, the boat will dive. And if I push up, the boat will go up. Right stick vertical is the forward dive planes. You can see those in operation. We installed a servo in the front compartment, the battery compartment here. It goes through a bellows seal and connects. Previously, this had a long linkage that ran all down the length of the boat, and that's just a little bit sloppy. It didn't make for a very positive control of those forward dive planes, and so we elected to do that kind of properly with a short linkage with a dedicated servo. And that means you've got independent control now of forward and aft dive planes. Vertical on the left stick is our throttle. So the last thing that we've got is our ballast control, which is on channel 5. We've got the switches here. To dive, you push down. That opens up the vent. All of the air escapes. And this is a gas ballast boat, and if you push up on that switch, it's going to blow ballast using that onboard tank. You can hear that little hiss. And Dave Merriman does a really excellent thing with that. He crimps the valve on the inside, or the hose that goes in, to reduce the flow of the gas. Otherwise, what ends up happening, you kind of hit the blow ballast and the entire tank vents or blows in a couple of seconds, and the model comes shooting up. So this is a little bit more stately and controllable, offers a lot more control of that function. That's all of the main functions of the boat. I think what we're going to do now, I'm going to go ahead and turn this off, and the radio, and we're going to go ahead, pull the cylinder out. Everything that we do, you're going to do in reverse to install it. So what we're going to do is we're going to undo this Velcro tab. If I can take a look and see where that is. So there's a little Velcro strip in there that holds the cylinder down. So now that's out. The cylinder can move upward. I'm going to take this receiver hose off. And now what we're going to do is spread the hull and lift up on that forward part. This got disengaged, and we just pull it straight forward and out. So this is our cylinder. Everything is still wet because we just tested it. But that's basically our watertight cylinder, free and clear of the boat. Taking a quick look at that, we can see our output shafts for the motors, outputs for rudders and dive planes. There's a spare servo in there and a spare servo, linkage seal. So if there was ever another function that you wanted to integrate, you could potentially do that. Receiver, electronic speed controller, an automatic pitch controller, and the ballast servo right there. And then you can see all of the linkages for the ballast system inside the ballast tank there. In the front, you see the forward dive plane servo, a 7.4 volt lithium polymer battery pack, and the forward dive plane servo, which I think I just mentioned previously. I will note with this, one of the advantages of going with an actual mechanical switch is that you can actually leave that battery plugged in at all times, and that won't affect the charge on the battery, unlike something like an MM15 or one of our heavy duty or micro remote on-off switches. All of those drain a little bit of current as they listen for the signal to turn on and off. So if you leave those plugged in, they will slowly deplete the battery. However, as this is an actual physical disconnect between the battery and the rest of the cylinder, you can just leave it plugged in all the time. Having said that, after every run, you're going to remove the end caps and allow the interior chambers to vent. And I would store it in that way as well, just to make sure there's no liquid or condensation trapped inside your cylinder as you store it for an extended period of time. A couple things to note just on the inside here. You can see that Velcro strap a little bit better, and then with that little yellow square, that is a little brass pin, and that goes right into this little hole in the bottom of the ballast tank, and that's what stops the cylinder from moving forward and backward or rotating, and then this stops it from moving up. So that pin needs to go into that hole when you install your watertight cylinder. Impressions of the boat, and we'll probably cut at this point to some footage of the submarine operating in my swimming pool. From an operational perspective, the boat is actually a ton of fun. It's got a really decent turning radius because the rudders are directly behind the propellers, as are the stern dive planes, which gives it excellent response to pitch inputs and to yaw or rudder inputs. It holds periscope depth really well. It'll dive within a matter of feet, and it's quite maneuverable under the water. This is also a pretty peppy model. It'll get up and go both on the surface and under the water, so it's a ton of fun to drive. I would say this is definitely a swimming pool sub. I would not feel comfortable bringing it out onto a lake or pond unless it was incredibly clear and incredibly still. Reason being, of course, this is a baby boat. If you follow my channel, you'll know I'm a big sub person. This would not float my boat, so to speak, but for a certain number of people, having a small portable boat is something that they like. Drawbacks of a boat of this size: tiny cylinder, tiny components, not a lot of room to work inside, not a lot of room for ballast, not a lot of room for flotation. It has its own challenges. As I saw in a Facebook post recently, I believe Tom Shalfin commented that the difficulty of working on a submarine is inversely proportional to its size. So the smaller the boat, the harder it is to work on, build, and to operate. So with that, we're going to let you go. Again, 72nd German Type 7 RC submarine, originally built by Kerry Addington, upgraded, refurbished, and prepped for the new owner by your friends here at the Nautilus Drydocks. If you like what you see here, please do like and subscribe. It helps us out a lot. If you have questions or comments, feel free to leave one below in the video, but if you want a quick answer, hit me up by email, bob@nautilusdrydocks.com. And with that, we're going to let you go. Thank you for watching, and we'll catch you next time.